Picture this. The lights dim, the crowd is roaring, and the stage is already trembling with anticipation. Out of nowhere, Kendrick Lamar steps forward, eyes blazing, mic gripped like a weapon. And with a single line, he shatters the entire arena's energy. But just when fans thought it couldn't get any wilder, the legendary duo Clipse storms the stage, backing Kendrick in a way no one saw coming. And who was on the receiving end of this public takedown? None other than Drake. Yes, you heard that right, Dreezy himself in the middle of his own tour stop, blindsided live on stage. Humiliated in front of tens of thousands. Gasps filled the air, phones shot up, and fans went wild as accusations, personal digs, and career-threatening jabs flew like daggers. Emotions ran high, the tension was unbearable, and for the first time, Drake looked cornered, vulnerable, and completely out of control. This wasn't just rap beef. This was betrayal, vengeance, and family-level drama spilling into the spotlight. What exactly happened? Why did Kendrick and Clipse join forces to dismantle Drake live? And what's shocking? Secrets did they reveal that left the industry reeling? Stay tuned because this story is deeper, darker, and messier than anyone could have imagined. The arena was supposed to be filled with nothing but excitement. Drake's show was hyped for weeks. Fans traveled from all over, and the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. But what unfolded that night wasn't just a concert, it turned into one of the most explosive, shocking, and unforgettable moments in hip-hop history. As the beats pulsed and the crowd jumped, no one expected Kendrick Lamar to suddenly walk on stage unannounced, uninvited, and unbothered. The audience froze, screaming in disbelief as the spotlight shifted to him. Kendrick's face carried a sharp determination, like he had been waiting for this exact moment. Drake, mid-performance, looked confused, even irritated, trying to play it cool with his trademark smirk. But Kendrick grabbed the mic and cut through the music with a voice so fierce it silenced thousands instantly. "No more games," he said, his eyes locked on Drake. "Tonight, the truth comes out." Gasps echoed through the arena. Fans had heard rumors, whispers of tension between them, but no one imagined it would spill out live in front of everyone. As Kendrick's words hung in the air, the crowd erupted into chaos. Some cheered wildly, others booed, and some just pulled out, their phones desperate to capture history in the making. Drake tried to brush it off, telling the audience, "We showing love out here. Don't get it twisted," but his voice wavered ever so slightly. It was the kind of crack that revealed nerves beneath the surface. And then the drama hit a hole. New level. From the side of the stage, two figures emerged: Pusha T and Malice, the brothers known as Clipse, stepping out with ice-cold expressions. The crowd lost its mind. "No way!" someone shouted. "This can't be happening." Fans screamed louder than they ever had all night. Clipse had history with Drake, bitter history that had never truly been resolved. To see them standing shoulder to shoulder with Kendrick felt unreal, almost staged. But this was no act. Drake's smile faltered completely now. He backed up, looking from Kendrick to Pusha to Malice, realizing he was being surrounded not just physically, but lyrically, emotionally, and strategically. "What's this about?" Drake asked into his mic, his voice trying to carry authority but trembling with unease. Kendrick stepped closer. "You've been lying to these fans for too long. You play family man, but you don't show what's really going on behind the scenes." Fans gasped again. The mention of family was dangerous territory, a place no rapper wanted to be called out live. The tension in the arena became unbearable. Pusha T took the mic next, his tone sharp like a blade. "Remember when you thought you could run from the truth? Remember when you thought you could buy silence? Nah, tonight you're getting exposed in front of the world." The crowd screamed as if each word was a punch. Fans were clutching their heads, some even crying, while others chanted Kendrick's name. Drake tried to regain his footing. "This is my show, y'all. Can't just crash it like this." But Malice cut him off, his voice low but filled with venom. "We didn't crash. We were invited by the truth." Drama was exploding in every direction. Backstage, Drake's team scrambled, unsure if they should cut the mics, dim the lights, or pull the plug. But the audience was too invested now. Shutting down the show would have caused a riot. The fans were screaming for blood, desperate to hear what secrets were about to be unveiled. Kendrick, staring Drake down, continued, "You build this empire on half-truths and smoke. But these fans deserve more. They deserve honesty. They deserve to know who you really are when the cameras shut off." The silence after his words was heavier than the loudest bass drop. Fans leaned forward, hungry for every word. Drake, in a desperate attempt to flip the narrative, chuckled, "You really came all this way just to make up stories. You're better than this, K-Dot." But Pusha T wasn't laughing. "Stories?" he snapped. "You think what we know is fiction? This is your reality catching up to you." Crowds started chanting, "Truth, truth, truth," as if demanding receipts. And that's when Kendrick dropped the first bombshell. "Drake, tell them about the deals you cut behind your crew's back. Tell them about the promises you broke, or should I?" The arena exploded into shouts and screams. Fans were holding their faces, jumping out of their seats. Drake's composure slipped further, his body stiff, his smile gone. He muttered into his mic, "You don't know what you're talking about." Malice stepped in closer, his words dripping with disdain. "We know everything. The calls, the payoffs. The way you played friends like pawns. You think you're untouchable, but tonight, it all comes crashing down." The crowd was in absolute hysteria now. People were crying out, unable to believe what they were witnessing. Some fans shouted for Drake to fight back. Others cheered for Kendrick and Clipse, while a few just stood frozen, unable to process it. Drake finally snapped, pointing toward Kendrick and shouting, "You just jealous? You always been jealous? Every time I win, you're mad. Every time I drop, you try to one-up me." Kendrick smirked, almost enjoying Drake's unraveling. "Jealous? Nah, I don't envy a man who hides behind facades. I don't envy a man too scared to face his own reflection." The drama kept escalating, and no one knew where it was heading. Fans began to chant again, this time louder, more chaotic, voices overlapping, echoing through the building. The energy was unmatched, like the walls themselves were shaking under the weight of the conflict. Pusha T then leaned in, his voice steady and calm, cutting through the madness like a knife through silence. "Tonight, we bury the image of Drake. The world thinks they know. Tonight, we reveal the Drake behind the curtain." And with that chilling promise, the lights flickered, the beat dropped again, and the tension hit its absolute peak. Every single person in that arena knew they were about to hear something that could change everything they thought they knew about one of the biggest stars in the world. The crowd held its breath, waiting for the next word, the next revelation, the next twist. In this nightmare-turned spectacle, Drake stood frozen, the sweat on his face betraying the calm he was trying to project. Kendrick raised the mic to his lips once more, his voice steady, cold, and ready to strike. And just as he was about to speak, Pusha T grabbed the mic back and said, "Nah, let's tell them together." The arena erupted into deafening screams as Drake stared in disbelief, completely trapped. And that is exactly where part one ends, right on the edge of the biggest revelation of the night. With fans desperate, clawing for what was coming next, the roar of the crowd didn't die down for a second. In fact, it grew louder, more chaotic, more frenzied as Pusha T held the mic like he was holding the entire arena hostage. Kendrick stood beside him, calm but sharpened, while Malice hovered just a step behind, arms crossed, radiating menace. Drake, on the other hand, looked like he had been blindsided by an ambush. He couldn't escape. Push's voice cut through the noise like thunder. "Since he won't tell you, I'll do it myself. Drake, how many people in this room know you've been buying silence?" How many of your so-called brothers did you throw under the bus when things got messy? The gasps were louder than the bass that had been blasting just moments before. The fans screamed, some even clutching each other like they were witnessing the collapse of a monument. Drake tried to keep his composure, but the way his jaw clenched and his eyes darted gave everything away. Kendrick leaned forward, almost whispering into his mic, but the words carried across the arena with a terrifying weight. We know about the deals, the contracts signed in secret, the betrayals, and we're not the only ones. As if on cue, the big screens above the stage flickered to life. Fans gasped as screenshots appeared, messages blurred but recognizable. Flashes of text that seemed to suggest conversations about payoffs, betrayals, and broken promises. The crowd screamed so loud the arena shook. Drake's single quotes S team backstage scrambled to cut the feed, but it was too late. The audience had already seen enough to believe the worst. People shouted, "Yo, that's real," while others yelled, "He's finished!" Drake snatched the mic, his voice finally rising to a yell. "You think you can come on my stage and lie about me? You think fans gonna turn on me because of some fake screenshots? Y'all desperate." Pusha shot back instantly, not giving Drake a chance to recover. "Fake? Then why you sweating? Why you looking like you seen a ghost? The truth hurts, don't it?" Kendrick took the mic again, his tone softer but sharper than a knife. "You call yourself a family man, but the people closest to you, the ones who helped you climb, say otherwise. You used them, discarded them, and replaced them with strangers who'll do your bidding. Tell me, Drake, is that loyalty? Or is that fear of being exposed?" The audience was at war with itself now. Some screamed for Drake, chanting his name in defense, while others booed him, siding with Kendrick and Clipse. The division among the fans was palpable, like the entire hip-hop community had just been split in two right there in that arena. Drake's single quotes as voice cracked as he tried to fight back. "You think I'm scared of you? You think you can just walk into my show and rewrite my story? Nah, I earned this. Every single thing I got, I earned it." Malice stepped forward, finally breaking his silence with a cold laugh. "Earned? You mean bought? You mean traded? You mean stepping on people who trusted you? Your empire's built on betrayal, and everyone's about to see it crumble." The crowd lost control. Fans were climbing on seats, shouting, crying, filming, pushing closer to the stage as if they didn't want to miss a single detail. The energy was so wild that security couldn't even contain it anymore. And then, the moment no one expected happened. From the corner of the stage, a young man no one recognized at first walked out. The camera zoomed in on him and the crowd erupted into confusion. "Who is that?" people shouted. The man grabbed a mic and said, "He knows me. I was there when he made promises he never kept. I was there when he turned his back on us." Double quotes. Drake froze. His face went pale, and the arena sensed his fear instantly. Fans screamed, "Who is he? Tell us." Kendrick nodded toward the young man. "Go ahead, tell them who you are." The man's voice shook with emotion. "I used to be part of his circle. I believed in him. I stood by him when nobody else did. But when the money started flowing, when the fame came, he left me behind like I was nothing. He promised we'd rise together, but he cut me out without a second thought." The arena gasped again, the collective sound of thousands processing betrayal at once. Drake's hands trembled as he shouted back, "You lying? You trying to? Ride my wave now. Don't listen to him, y'all." But the crowd wasn't buying it. Boos rained down on Drake as the young man stood firm. "Nah, I'm not lying, and you know it. You made me sign papers so I couldn't speak. But tonight, the truth's louder than your contracts." Pusha and Malice smirked, while Kendrick simply folded his arms, letting the moment unravel. Drake tried to regain control, pacing the stage, pointing at the young man. "You broke, you bitter, you just want attention. You ain't nothing without me." The young man's reply cut through Drake's defense like a blade. "I'd rather be." Nothing than live like a fraud. The crowd exploded, half chanting fraud and half screaming in disbelief. Drake's face twisted with rage. Do you think this changes anything? Look around, these people still here for me. But even as he said it, the boos mixed with cheers. The division more obvious than ever. Some fans held up signs of love for Drake, while others turned their backs to him in protest. The arena looked like a battlefield. Kendrick stepped forward once more, his voice calm but lethal. This isn't about one man's story. This is about a pattern. This is about who you've been all along. And no matter how much you try to silence the truth, it's louder than you can handle. Drake stared at Kendrick, seething, breathing. Heavy, his cool persona shattered. "You planned this?" he growled into the mic. "All of you. You've waited for this moment to try and ruin me." Malice smirked and shook his head. "We didn't plan it, Drake. We just gave the truth a stage." And tonight, the truth chose to walk into the spotlight. The audience was now chanting so loudly the building shook. Truth, truth. The sound was deafening, unstoppable, impossible to ignore. Drake raised his mic again, ready to fight back with everything he had. But before he could speak, Kendrick put a hand on Push's shoulder and said, "Let him. Let's see if he can face this crowd without hiding." And as Drake opened his mouth, the lights flickered again. The sound system roared, and the next wave of revelations began to loom over the arena. Darker and heavier than anything that had come before. The audience leaned forward, phones raised, hearts pounding, waiting for what would come out of Drake's mouth next, whether it would save him or finally bury him alive in front of the entire world. And that's exactly where part 2 closes, with Drake cornered, the fans divided, and the weight of betrayal pressing down on the stage like a storm that had only just begun. The silence before Drake spoke felt like an eternity. The arena, moments ago exploding with chants and screams, suddenly fell into a heavy, uneasy hush. Every single person in that crowd held their breath, waiting for what Drake would say. His chest rose and fell as he gripped the mic tightly, his knuckles white. His voice cracked slightly, but he forced it louder. "Y'all think you know me? You think these dudes can just come up here, throw lies at me, and erase everything I've built? Nah, I worked for this. I sacrificed for this. And you think some screenshots and a bitter ex-friend gonna break me? You think Kendrick and Clipse can end me? Not tonight." The audience screamed, half cheering, half booing. Drake pointed toward Kendrick, his anger boiling over. "You waited years for this moment, huh? Jealous every time I sold out a stadium. Jealous every time my album broke records. You ain't mad about the truth. You mad about the numbers?" Kendrick didn't flinch. He simply raised his mic, his tone cool and steady, cutting through Drake's fury. "Numbers lie. Character doesn't. You can stack streams, buy spins, fill arenas, but you can't hide what you did to the people who trusted you." The crowd went wild again, phones flashing, voices clashing like a storm. Pusha T stepped in, smirking as if he had been waiting for Drake to dig his own grave. "About numbers, man? This about who you really are? And tonight, we're showing the world the side of you you've spent your whole career hiding." Malice added with a cold calmness, "And the world is listening." Drake's voice rose, shaking with both rage and desperation. "You think you speaking for the world? You think people care about your sob stories? Nah, they care about hits. They care about anthems. They care about energy, and I bring that every time." But just as he finished, the young man from earlier, Drake's former associate, stepped forward again, his voice trembling but powerful. "You don't get it. People don't just care about music. They care about loyalty. They care about trust. And you broke both." The crowd screamed in agreement, chanting louder, "Fraud, fraud, fraud, fraud." Drake's face twisted, his calm superstar image long gone. Kendrick then took a step closer, his tone turning sharper. "Tell them about the ghostwriters, Drake. Tell them about the tracks you didn't write, about the verses you paid for but claimed as your own. The arena erupted. The ghostwriting rumors had been around for years. But hearing Kendrick throw it in Drake's face, live, on Drake's own stage, was nuclear. Drake's eyes widened, his composure shattering for a split second before he fired back. You really? Going there? You think you're the first to say that? I've been dealing with those lies for years, but guess what? People still sing my songs. People still show up. Y'all mad 'cause I turned rumors into anthems? Pusha laughed into his mic, shaking his head. Rumors? Nah, we got receipts. You want us to play M for the crowd? We got voices, we got files. Don't test me. The audience screamed louder than ever, begging for receipts, chanting, "Play it, play it, play it." Security guards were yelling into radios, the stage crew panicked. And Drake looked like he was seconds away from losing everything. Malice leaned into the mic, calm but menacing. Go ahead, Drake. Tell them it's not true. Look M in the eyes and tell them you wrote every line, every hook, every verse. Drake's lip quivered. He tried to speak, but his voice faltered. The crowd roared with laughter and shock, their cheers cutting him off before he could finish. The sound of thousands taunting him filled the air, and Drake's frustration boiled over. Y'all ungrateful, he screamed. I gave you this soundtrack to your lives. I gave you music that carried you through heartbreaks, through struggles, through everything, and this is how you treat me. You let these clowns walk on my stage and disrespect me. The boos and cheers clashed again, but this time the boos seemed louder. Kendrick shook his head slowly. No one disrespected you. You did that to yourself. The words hung in the air like a dagger, and fans screamed in disbelief suddenly from the audience. A group of Drake's diehard fans began chanting his name louder than ever, trying to drown out the criticism. Drizzy, Drizzy. Their voices filled the arena, and for a brief moment, Drake smiled, holding onto their support like a lifeline. But then, in a dramatic twist, another group of fans near the front started chanting Kendrick, Kendrick, Kendrick. Soon, the arena turned into a battlefield of chants, half the audience screaming for Drake, the other half for Kendrick and Clipse. The sound was deafening, a literal split down the middle of loyalty and betrayal. Pusha raised his hand, silencing the crowd as much as possible. You see this, Drake? Your own fans don't even know what side you on anymore. That's what happens when you live two lives. Sooner or later, both sides collide. The words hit Drake hard. His face was red, sweat dripping down, his breathing ragged. He pointed at Pusha, his voice trembling with rage. You've been obsessed with me for years. You ain't let go since day one. I live rent-free in your head. You can't touch me, you never could. Pusha smirked darkly. And yet here I am, touching nerves you thought were buried. The crowd exploded again, wild with screams and chants. Kendrick stepped forward once more, his eyes locked on Drake. This is just the beginning. We got more. Trust me, the world's not ready for what comes next. The big screen flickered again, this time showing blurred audio waveforms with a caption, "Exclusive recordings." The arena gasped, fans screaming, desperate to hear them. Drake's panic was visible now, his hands shaking, his eyes darting. Around like a trapped animal, he shouted into the mic, his voice cracking, "Cut it off! Cut it off now!" But the crowd only screamed louder, chanting, "Play it! Play it! Play it!" Alice stepped closer, his voice low but deadly. "You can't silence this, Drake. You can't erase what's about to come out." Drake, his cool persona shattered, turned to the crowd desperately. "Don't listen to them. They're trying to tear us apart. They want to see me fall because they can't stand to see me win." But his words were drowned out by boos, screams, and chants demanding the truth. The arena had turned against him, the energy spiraling out of control. Kendrick raised his mic one final time in that moment, his tone chilling. Tonight isn't the end, Drake. It's the beginning of your reckoning. The lights dimmed suddenly, the stage went dark, and the arena filled with chaos as fans screamed in confusion and anticipation. And that's where part 3 ends. With Drake standing alone in the darkness, the crowd against him, and the looming promise that the next revelation could destroy everything he's built. When the lights snapped back on, the arena looked like a war zone. Fans were still screaming, some chanting Drake's name desperately, while others demanded receipts. The energy was beyond control, like the entire building was teetering on the edge of a riot. On stage, Kendrick, Pusha T, and Malice stood shoulder to shoulder, faces calm but eyes blazing. Drake, meanwhile, looked shaken to his core, his confidence shattered. Sweat dripped down his face as he gripped the mic, his hands trembling. The big screen flickered again. Time, the blurred audio waveforms sharpened, and a distorted voice began to play. It was unmistakably Drake's voice, caught on what sounded like a private call. The crowd fell silent, straining to hear every word. Nah, man, just make sure it doesn't leak. If they find out I didn't write it, the whole thing falls apart. I'll cut the check tomorrow. The arena erupted into screams so loud it shook the rafters. As people jumped out of their seats, holding their heads, some crying, others recording with their phones. Desperate to capture the chaos, Drake's eyes widened in pure horror. "That's fake. That's edited," he shouted, his voice cracking under the pressure. "Anybody can fake audio these days. Now really think that's me?" Pusha T laughed darkly, pacing the stage like a predator circling prey. "Fake, you know your voice better than anyone, don't you? You recognized it the second it played." Kendrick stepped closer, his voice steady and sharp. "You built your image on a lie. And tonight, the mask slipped. These people see you now for who you really are." Drake tried to rally his fans, pointing toward the crowd. "Y'all believe me, right? You know me? You know the real me?" But the boos drowned him out, louder than his desperate pleas. Suddenly, a woman's voice rang out from the audience. "What about your family, Drake?" the arena gasped as all eyes turned toward her. She pushed forward, security trying to hold her back, but Kendrick gestured for her to come up. She climbed onto the stage, tears streaming down her face. "You think you can hide the truth forever?" she shouted. "Do you think people don't know what you've done to those closest to you?" The crowd erupted in shock, some screaming, others stunned into silence. Drake's face went pale. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice trembling. The woman's voice shook with rage. "I'm someone who watched you destroy people you claim to love. I'm someone who saw you cut off family, lie to fans, and act like you're untouchable. But tonight, you're exposed." Drake's knees buckled slightly, his bravado crumbling in front of the world. "This is insane," he muttered, pacing the stage. "Y'all really trying to ruin me?" Malice stepped forward, his voice low and cutting. "No one had to try. You did this yourself. All we did was give the truth a microphone." The arena roared, fans split down the middle, half chanting truth and half screaming Drake. The sound was deafening, the tension unbearable. Drake suddenly snapped, his voice breaking as he yelled, "You think this ends me? You think I can't come back from this? I'm Drake. I don't fall. I don't lose." Kendrick smirked, his voice calm but lethal. "Every empire falls. Yours just started tonight." The lights dimmed again, but this time instead of chaos. A chilling beat began to play. Kendrick and Clipse stepped forward, delivering live bars aimed straight at Drake. The verses were brutal, filled with accusations, metaphors about betrayal, and sharp lines that cut deep into Drake's persona. The crowd screamed with every punchline, every blow landing harder than the last dot. Drake stood frozen, unable to respond. His mic hung loosely in his hand, his mouth opening, but no words coming out. The audience roared as Kendrick finished his verse with, "The crown don't fit if the truth don't sit." Pusha followed with a final strike. You sold the world a dream, but tonight we woke 'em up. The crowd erupted into chaos, fans losing their minds, some cheering like they'd just witnessed history. Others devastated, tears streaming down their faces. The energy was electric, overwhelming, unforgettable. Drake stumbled back, his team rushing onto the stage, trying to shield him from the cameras, from the boos, from the chaos. He dropped his mic and walked off the stage, his head down, the sound of thousands booing and cheering echoing behind him. Kendrick raised his mic one last time, his voice echoing through the arena. This ain't the end. This is just the start. The truth always wins. The lights shut off, the beat faded, and the arena was left buzzing with shock, disbelief, and raw emotion. Fans were crying, screaming, calling friends, flooding social media. The world had just witnessed Drake, the untouchable superstar, being torn down live on stage, and as the cameras captured every moment, every tear, every cheer, one question lingered in everyone's mind. Was this the end of Drake as they knew him, or just the beginning of a new, darker chapter? That's where part 4 ends, with Drake walking into the shadows, his empire shaken to its core, and fans everywhere left to wonder if their idol would ever recover from the night Kendrick and Clipse destroyed him live. What a night! What a spectacle! And what a shocking turn of events! Fans came expecting a Drake show, but they left witnessing what might go down as the most brutal takedown in hip-hop history. Kendrick and Clipse didn't just crash the stage, they ripped open secrets, exposed betrayals, and left the entire industry shaken. And the craziest part? So many questions still remain unanswered. Will Drake fight back, or has his empire already begun to crumble? Are there more receipts waiting to surface, or was tonight just the tip of the iceberg? And most importantly, can Drake's loyal fanbase hold him up through this storm? Or will they finally turn their backs on the superstar they once worshipped? You saw it unfold right here. Kendrick, spitting truths with surgical precision, Pusha and Malice dragging skeletons into the light, and Drake left speechless in front of the world. This wasn't just beef, it was betrayal, family drama, and revelations that cut deeper than any diss track could. The hip-hop community is divided, the fans are at war, and the fallout from tonight will echo for years to come. But now, it's your turn. What do you think? Did Kendrick and Clipse go too far? Or did they finally reveal the truth fans deserved to hear? Do you believe Drake's defense? Or do you think the evidence speaks for itself? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this story isn't just theirs anymore, it's ours. Make sure you smash that like button if you were shocked by what went down. Subscribe to the channel for every update as this drama continues to unfold. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single twist in this saga. Trust me, this isn't the end, just the beginning. And you'll want to be right here when the next bombshell drops. So tell us, who's really winning this war?